Hey everyone, this is Chase, a Rocky Mountain ATV MC, giving you a closer look at the Parabolic steering stabilizer from Precision Racing. All right everyone, thanks for checking in. Today we're giving you a closer look at the Parabolic steering stabilizer from Precision Racing. Now, stabilizers in general are a very popular upgrade that a lot of riders like to make, whether you're a dirt bike guy, off-road, dual sport adventure riding. And what these do in a nutshell is they give more stability to the rider and just help you have more control over your bike. Now, what's great about the Parabolic? Well, a couple things. If you're looking for a unit that is small and compact, has easy mounting, and won't affect your bar height with easy maintenance, this is by far one of the best options that is out there. Now, when it comes to a steering stabilizer, if you're not too familiar with these and how they work or how they really help you, I'll explain that a little bit. Now, steering stabilizers do a couple things, but the first and most important is that it gives you more stability, especially at higher speeds. If you imagine you're ripping through the desert going really fast, your front tire can hit an object and deflect, well, that deflection leads to what we like to call head shake. And head shake is that sensation of when your handlebars are jerking back and forth, and sometimes they can jerk back and forth so violently, it can rip the handlebars right out of your hands, and a lot of times it results in a crash. I've had head shake before, I'm sure a lot of you have. It is a terrible thing to experience. How a steering stabilizer can help you with that and help you gain more control in that scenario is that it dampens that movement. So picture you riding through the desert or wherever you might be riding, you hit an obstacle and your front tire deflects. Well, instead of getting that really violent jerky motion to the right or to the left, this will slow down that movement just like your suspension does. It dampens the up and down movement. That's how a steering stabilizer works. So in that same scenario, your front tire deflects, it will help dampen that and give you more control, so hopefully you don't end up crashing. Now, not only do these help with high-speed scenarios, but they also are really beneficial for low speed as well. Just because you're riding at slower speeds, maybe you're doing some trail riding, some technical stuff, even though you're traveling at those lower speed, you can still hit objects and have your front tire deflecting and move at a pretty high speed. Now, it's pretty uncommon for riding slower to hit an obstacle and have your handlebars rip out of your hands. But ultimately what happens is as your front tire is deflecting a lot, that can lead to rider fatigue, and having a stabilizer to help dampen that and slow everything down, it's just gonna help you have more energy, and ultimately it's just less sketchy. Now let's talk about what makes the Parabolic stabilizer unique and really kind of separates it from the rest that are out there. So Precision Racing, they've been doing this for about 16 years. They started out making ATV stabilizers. Those have been super popular. And then actually not too long ago, they started making stabilizers for motorcycles. They did a lot of testing with this, about 3 years. They tested with KTM. You're gonna see guys like Taylor Robert, Andrew Short, a lot of really fast off-road riders that are using this. And like I said earlier, a couple of the big standouts that I love about this, small and compact. Also, it does not mess with your bar height when you do have this installed. But I do wanna point out that when you have this installed, in most scenarios, if you have a one-piece handlebar mount, it's not gonna work with that. I've tried it with my Ride Engineering one-piece mount. I've tried it with the stock KTM and Husqvarna handlebar mounts. Those are a solid one piece on top. Does not work with those. So if that's your situation, you have two options. You can either cut your handlebar mount, or you could just pick up a standard two-piece mount and it'll work just fine. Also, these are just designed to work with a 1 1/8 handlebar. But there's some other unique features about this. When you look at it here, just like all your other steering stabilizers that are out there, you're gonna have a low and a high speed damping inside here. Your low speed adjuster is right here on the outside. It's this big knob. What I like about this is that it's numbered, and you're gonna have about 20 clicks of adjustment with this knob. You actually have half clicks on here. And what I like about having the numbers, it makes it really easy to know exactly where you're at. So if you're doing maybe some slower riding and you don't need or want as much damping, you could go down to say a 2 or a 1 even. But if you're gonna go out and do some high speed riding, maybe you wanna crank it up to a 6 or 7. But it's nice because you can make a mental note to write it down. So every time you go out and do a specific type of riding, you can look back and know, oh, I liked it as setting 3 in that scenario. You can go right back to that. So that's your low speed. And then your high speed adjuster is actually right here on the bottom. I'll move this over. It's actually just a center Allen that you can see right there in the center of that dial. Now this is not gonna have numbers or really clicks. It's gonna be by turns. And this will come with settings directly from the factory. And you can adjust these all you want to. And if you kind of get lost, you're not quite sure what the best setup's gonna be, what I would recommend is just contacting Precision Racing. Very good people over there. They can help you out, but you will have good settings right from the factory. What he said is that most riders will kind of settle between 3 and 5 on their low speed, and then a lot of riders actually won't even really mess with the high speed. They just keep it right where it comes from the factory. Now, if you're kind of confused when I'm talking about low and high speed movements, I'll explain real quickly. A low speed, just think about if you're riding your motorcycle and you just turn the handlebars with your own strength, that's a low speed movement. A high speed is what we kind of mentioned earlier. You're ripping through the desert, you're doing some trail riding, and your handlebars hit an object, or your front tire deflects off of something like a rock or a root, and you get that fast jerking motion. That is a high speed movement. And the way this works is that for those low speeds, it'll help dampen that a little bit, but when you do get those high speed jerks, the circuitry inside here, so you have oil inside this unit and there's a circuit, and it works pretty similar to how your dirt bike suspension works on, say, your shock. You have oil passing through a circuit or an orifice. You can open or close that off so it'll dampen it more or less. But in any case, when you get that high-speed jerky movement, that high-speed damper will take over and it'll slow down that motion for you to help gain control. That's how it's working on the inside. What's nice too is the service on these, very easy to change the oil. You can do it right from your own house. It takes about 5 minutes. But if you do need to have it serviced, send it to Precision Racing and they can take care of it for you. Another cool thing about these is that they have built the internals to compensate for heat expansion. As oil heats up, it starts to expand, it creates more pressure. That can lead to inconsistent feel with your stabilizer. So by having it built to compensate for that, no matter the temperature, it just gives more consistent feel when you're out there having a good time. Another unique feature about this that they were explaining to me that is different from the others that are out there is their bell curve when it comes to damping. What I mean by that is as your handlebars start to turn, this will start to dampen immediately. But how it works is that it will slowly ramp up. So it's a gradual dampen as you start to turn the handlebars, and as you start to get towards the middle of your sweep, it will start to ramp up and it'll start to dampen a little bit more, and then it will gradually go down a little bit easier as you get to the outside or as you reach the, the lockout point of your handlebars turning. And it will do that on the return motion as well. And I asked Precision Racing why that was beneficial, and they just said that one, you don't need a ton of damping right as you start to turn the handlebars. They don't want that to lead to possible rider fatigue. And really, they just want it to take over where you're gonna need it. So they put the most damping where you're most likely to have the most issues when you are turning the handlebars. So they've got that bell curve damping, which is pretty cool. Another unique feature that they talked about that I really hadn't thought about much before, but with that bell curve, what they say that really helps out with is your rear end swapping side to side. Sure, a lot of you have had that happen. You're riding and you hit an obstacle, maybe a big whoop, your back end kicks to the right, then it kicks to the left, and a lot of times that can lead to a high side. So the way this can help with that is that you gotta think of it this way. If you turn your handlebars 10 degrees, your bike doesn't know if you turn the handlebars or if it's because your back end got kicked out to the side. So just like with how this will help with your handlebar swapping, it also helps keep the rear end in track with the front and keep your bike straight. So it's pretty cool. You're getting help with head shake. You're also getting help with the rear end swap. So again, there's a lot of cool features with the Parabolic steering stabilizer. Small and compact, super easy to mount, doesn't mess with their bar height. As far as mounting goes, like I said, there's a great how-to video on our product page that shows you step by step. But in any case, it's pretty dang simple. You have this clamp that's just gonna go right underneath your upper triple clamp around the steering stem area. Once you have that in place, you're just gonna take this pin, it goes inside there, and once you have that inside, you're just gonna bring the clamp up or the stabilizer until it reaches your handlebars, then you're just gonna mount that up with the clamp, and essentially you're good to go. So it's a really simple process. Go watch that how-to video to show you how to do it, but as long as you have the correct tools at your house, it's really a job that any rider can do. And that is it. That is the Parabolic steering stabilizer from Precision Racing. If you do have questions or comments about this, we want to get those answered. If you're using one of these, we would love to hear your feedback. What did you experience before and after you put it on? Are there certain things that you love about it? Maybe you don't like about it. That's really gonna help other riders out who are possibly looking to invest in one of these. You are making an investment here, you're around $600 or more, but if you talk to most riders, I'm gonna say really any rider that has one of these, and they'll tell you that after they put it on, the probably only regret that they ever had was wishing that they didn't do it earlier. To pick one up, you can click on the link or head over to RockyMountainATVMC.com. They are bike specific, so be sure to enter the make, the model, and the year when you're picking yours up, and you're gonna be good to go. If you like this spotlight, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Rocky Mountain YouTube channel, and stay up to date. I am Chase, and we'll see you on the trails.